Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we consult the Old Farmer's Almanac to see how high the Super NES grew in 1995. The River Devil eats those who are weak, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society eats those who are weak with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. I like that with this week's Zelda 2 quote.
Yes.
It could either be a quote from Zelda 2, which we're all trusting it is,
or
lyrics to some, death metal
right,
band
like
song.
a Zeppelin song or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is I don't think we're talking enough about the River Devil, frankly.
Well, and with Halloween coming up, too.
Right. I mean, usually my costume is River Devil.
And everybody recognizes
Everyone
it.
recognizes
we
it.
all know what the River Devil from Zelda 2 is.
Right, because people are like, oh, you eat the weak. And I'm like, yes, I do. Zelda 2, what a treasure trove. It's supplying us with these great quotes.
Yeah.
Sometimes about rivermen, sometimes about river devils.
Hey, maybe, unbeknownst to ourselves, we're preparing ourselves for whatever the new Zelda game is going to be.
Sure.
Because maybe they're going to really mine Zelda 2 for specifics for the next Zelda game.
It's time. What if the next Zelda game was a Zelda 2 remake?
Ah, yes.
Would it drive everyone nuts?
They're and it's do you know what? Just like we did with Link's Awakening, we're going to make it basically just a faithful recreation.
Right, screen by screen, square by square. It's just like a beautiful new art style.
Yep.
Here's the thing. I love it. I think that would be a fun game. If people want to hear more insane opinions like that, they can head on over to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if you're supporting us at the 8 or 16-bit levels, you get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries like NCS at the Movies.
Yes, where Patrick and I are, sometimes with a special guest, going to see movies, and then we're talking about them. We're talking about the experience of going to theaters. We love it. And we just did an episode about Tron Ares. We've also done episodes about One Battle After Another, The Naked Gun, The Fantastic Four First Steps, and Superman. And in just a few weeks, we will be doing an episode about The Running Man.
Yeah. Tron Ares feels like a lifetime ago.
Doesn't it? And it was less than a week.
It was less than a week ago. That is how much the movie is imprinted on our brains. But we had a great conversation about it, so check that out if you are supporting us at the 8 or 16-bit levels. If you are over on the Patreon at the 4-bit level, there's stuff for you to listen to over there. And even for free, if you are following us for free on Patreon, you get the first season of NCS Detective Club. So check that out. It's all laid out there cleanly in better ways than we could communicate it verbally right now. Thank you to everyone who is supporting us on Patreon. If you would like to interact with us, chat with the community at large, you should get in our Discord. Email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. We will send you an invitation. You hop right in. You chat with us. It's a great time. There's a Kirby Air Riders direct thing happening in the morning.
Yeah.
People will be in there chatting about it. So check that out. Mark, let's get into it. Let's take a little trip through time and talk about our favorite games from 5, 10, 20, and 30 years ago. This is such a weird exercise now.
It does feel really weird because 5 years ago was 2020. We were in the middle of our the life of the show so far.
Yeah, and that is what is so straight. The last time we did this was in 2023. So we were talking about first year of the Switch. That was also within the lifetime of the show. But for whatever reason, that felt like eons and eons ago. And now 2020.
No, it doesn't feel that long ago.
Feels like it just happened.
But
so yeah, I mean, I think basically what we're gonna do here is going to sort of talk about the shape of these years, and then pick out our a signature game or our favorite game from that time, or just something that we want to highlight.
Yeah, I think that sounds good to me. these were tough calls. Some of these years were really tough calls.
Some of these years are really, really difficult. And we're gonna try to stick mostly to Nintendo games, but there's at least one of these where I'm like, I gotta give it to not a Nintendo game.
I know. I wonder if we're thinking of the same one.
We almost certainly are. But or who knows? There are, I think there are two really strong, like, no, Nintendo was not the most impressive thing on a Nintendo platform this year. But let's start with 2020. Which, did anything happen in 2020?
Well, I mean, it was the Super Mario Brothers 35th anniversary.
It definitely was that. And it was, of course, COVID-19, where we, Mark, you and I, for this show, I feel like the show transformed during that year. Because it was the first time that we were recording remotely.
Yeah.
I remember like driving to your house like a mail carrier in the days before a war or something, and dropping off a set of like equipment to so we could record. That we would get on and like just record forever.
Yeah, well,
long episodes.
Yeah, little, I guess, peek behind the curtain or history of the show. When we first started, pretty early into our run, when we started doing 2 episodes a week,
yes,
we would record them on the same day. We would record both of them on Monday night, and then COVID and then that'd sometimes be loose, but then COVID totally changed it. Once we started recording remotely, and once we were like in lockdown in LA and everything, then it was just twice a week, and for just the past 5 years,
yes, exactly,
it has just been twice a week.
Right, and there was no reason at that point to be like, no, I'd really like one of these evenings back. It was just like, no, I need something to do.
Yeah, totally.
On Monday and Wednesday evenings. So I would say that that's really when the show, 4 years into its run, like became itself. But what games came out during this time?
You know what I was impressed about when I was going through the like list of releases in 2020?
Yes.
Is, when we were in it, it felt, obviously everything was so crazy and game release schedules were all messed up, and it kind of felt like thin gruel sometimes.
From Nintendo specifically.
Yeah.
Like PlayStation was landing a lot of planes in 2020. That's when like Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, like that was a like killer time for PlayStation. But yeah, Nintendo was so far delayed already for Animal Crossing, and then like no other like big guns fired.
Well,
really,
it's interesting you say that, because when my impression was actually kind of different when I was going through it. It's true that they didn't have like, I guess, the biggest of years, but
outside of Animal Crossing.
But the Switch, by this time, was such a machine that there were still a lot of good games from like third parties and indies, and I think even Nintendo released some bangers in 2020. So even though it was a very weird year, the list of games and like the fun things that I played, it's pretty long.
Yeah, that is true. I do think, and this is sort of like typical of the Switch generation in general, but were a ton of re-releases, remakes, remasters. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Sharp FE, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team, Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Like, it's a lot of repackaging. Games from not that long ago. Or some of them were, like, Super Mario 3D All-Stars is Mario 64 is on that list. So, I do just want to shout out, of course, Jump Rope Challenge.
Jump Rope Challenge?
Jump Rope Challenge, which came like out of nowhere, out of like Nintendo employees working on a game at home where you jump rope with a little bunny rabbit.
So here's some games that I want to shout out.
Yes.
And then, we of course have, and then we can talk about like our definitive favorites, or however we want to phrase that. So some games that I played during 2020 that I really liked, not even necessarily from Nintendo, Murder by Numbers came out in 2020.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked that game.
That came out in 2020?
Yeah.
In
March of 2020.
Whew.
And so that's a like a Picross style game.
Yes.
That is crossed with a like point and click mystery, like murder mystery adventure game.
That sort of takes place in like 1990s Hollywood. It ruled. Your best friend in the game is like a flying computer
that can like see evidence, but it's all blurry or something,
blurry,
which
so
is
you
why
have
you
to
have
pick cross
to pick cross it.
Man, that was sort of my like entree into Picross. It was like because of that game that I like now play the Picross games.
Yeah, it was really fun. This is when I played Monster Prom XXL.
Oh yeah, great game.
Yeah, which it's like you are attending a monster high school, and it's basically just like a romance simulator where
Yes.
you have different like monsters that you're trying to romance.
And it can be a like a competitive monster romance simulator where like you are like you can block other players out of like if you're playing in multiplayer.
Yeah, I've never played it in multiplayer, but
Dude,
that sounds really fun.
We should.
I played The Outer Worlds.
Oh yeah.
And this was one that I had pre-ordered, and when it released, you know, the graphics were not very good, but I still had a great time playing it. Still a really good game, and they've of course released patches to improve it. Sorry, I don't want to bogart it.
No, this is great. I guess this is not a game that came out this year. In fact, it's an old game. But you know, we did was it like a Super NES month or what was our?
We did, yeah, because the SNES had just been added in like September of 2019.
Right.
So in April of 2020, we did a like SNES month where we played Star Fox,
yes,
Metroid,
Super Metroid, Link to the Past,
and then
Super Mario World, probably
Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island.
Great games all, of course. I'm not saying anything new here, but I think this was the first time that I had like really sunk my teeth into Star Fox and like got it.
Yeah,
and where I was like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on, this is like trippy arcade fun. Yeah, like you know, I had always thought that like Star Fox 64, that's where this thing achieved perfection, and like it was pretty close on the Super NES.
Yeah, I remember I had dabbled with Star Fox on the Super Nintendo previously and just never got it, could never get into it.
Right.
And so yeah, it was such a gift kind of like forcing ourselves to play through it because I've had a ton of fun.
I guess one more that I would want to shout out is Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, you know, just like a collection of like basic board games and like Mancala and Hanafuda and like all this kind of stuff. A game that I have not put that much time into, but every time I do like turn it on and like mess around with it for a while, it can be super rewarding.
I also want to mention Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
Sure.
Which I was very excited for.
Bad game.
I did not enjoy it, but I didn't put that much time into it, but I was very excited for it.
And you're very excited for Age of Imprisonment now as well.
I'm not. I've been burned once.
Very excited.
And then Super Mario Brothers 35, the limited time like competitive Super Mario Brothers playthrough game experiment,
sort of in the vein of Tetris 99.
Yeah.
And if you live long enough in the game, and it's only 35 players, not 99. But if you live long enough in a specific round, it's basically just surviving between invincibility stars. Because like you collect coins, and the more enemies you kill, the more enemies get sent to other players, and you get enough coins and you earn a power up of some kind. And like there will definitely be a time where the whole screen is just filled with Hammer Brothers, and the only way to not die is to be invincible. So that is my pick for 2020 is Super Mario Brothers 35.
Yeah, I never was good enough at like the meta of the whole thing.
Yeah.
To advance very far, but it's kind of sad that I don't know that we'll ever see Super Mario 35 again, because it's one that I would love, just like Tetris 99, to occasionally turn on if they are having an event or something like that and try it out again.
It does, and I mean, you know, we're in another Mario anniversary year right now, the 40th, and it's kind of like they couldn't bring that back. I guess it's locked at 35.
Right.
Like adding 5 more would make it even more chaotic.
Yeah.
And like the game is wholly unbalanced, right? And it is like part of what I like about it so much is that it is a little bit of an unhinged idea. And like doesn't really work. Absolutely every single game of it ends with people just chaining together stars for as long as possible. Which isn't really gameplay at that point, right? It's just like a strange looking slot machine, and one of you has to lose at some point. But yeah, it's just so It's just so weird and such a fun like recontextualization of a couple levels from Super Mario Brothers 1.
I think it was the Awesome Games Done Quick in 2021
yeah.
that had a showcase for Super Mario Brothers 35, and that was really cool to see people who were just like incredibly skilled at
Yes.
the game all competing against each other. I have a few more that I want to shout out.
Sure.
Genosia,
Oh,
which was that it's like a narrative game with really cool art where you are on a spaceship and you have to try to figure out like who the alien is. And the idea is that like or you die constantly, and so it's all about restarting the cycle and like kind of like figuring your way through it. But the characters are really interesting. Like I mentioned, the art is cool. Paper Mario: The Origami King came out in July. I really enjoyed that game a lot. Hypnospace Outlaw came out in August. I played a little bit of that. Hades, the original Hades, came out in 2020. And
well, I wasn't even thinking of that. For whatever reason, I was very focused on like first party stuff. But yeah, Hades should probably be my pick, right? I'm going with something more esoteric.
Well, you did love Hades.
I did love Hades.
You put a lot of time into Hades. And then we glossed over it.
By the way, I checked my playtime clock on Hades 2 today. I've got 50 hours in it.
Nice job.
How did I do that? The game's been out for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, this is not a criticism, but I do feel like you're playing it a lot.
I
like when I come over, or like you know, I mean,
or when like you're on your way and I'm like, we need to delay by half an hour.
And then we glossed over it, but Animal Crossing New Horizons. Oh,
yeah,
brother. Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Yeah, sort of the undisputed champion of the year, both from Nintendo and just like in terms of media projects that released in 2020, right?
Yeah. Just like amazingly timed, released in March of 2020. I think had such an outsized impact partly because of the timing of its release. Like it felt like everybody was playing it in March of 2020.
It's what's so there are so many things like working in concert for it to be like the time for that game, right? New Leaf had been such a like relatively big hit on 3DS.
Totally.
And you know they had done Happy Home Paradise 5 years earlier to that sort of like prime the pump and the Welcome Amiibo, where it's just like the game had been a success, and then they were sort of like nurtured it a little bit more. So like the gaming public was ready for Animal Crossing.
And everything already, it seemed like anything Nintendo released got a Switch bump.
Totally, yes. And anything that was released on Switch was getting the Switch bump. So there's that, and then there's COVID, right? Which is people can't leave their homes, and this game is like a very gentle social simulator. So like you're getting the social component, and it's a gentle game. People didn't want to be like rattled by like weird, scary, hard things. But there was also like in the like kind of perfect curve of social media still being relevant in a way that like it's not now, where like people were just sharing like funny clips of stuff from Animal Crossing on Twitter, which was perfectly suited to the Switch experience because you could upload things directly. It was before it would have been like flamed by Nazis, calling you gay or whatever. And it was like everything was right for that game in that moment, and it sells like 40 million copies and like changes the face of Nintendo for the generation.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is in some ways interesting that it's neither of us picked it as our games for 2020, even though it does have an outside presence, and I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Oddly, the one that really has like stuck with me and maybe because it was like an experience I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did.
Can I guess?
Yeah, please.
Or do you just want to say it?
Well, it's Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Yes.
Sharp FE Encore.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That came out in January, but I didn't play it until probably like towards the end of the year. I remember around Thanksgiving I was talking about it on the pod, and we gave away like a code for it or something like that. I was blown away by how much I liked this game, especially because of the first hours. Like it's you can tell that the budget was limited. Some of the presentation is a little flimsy, and especially in the beginning hours, it like most RPGs, I would say it takes a while
Sure.
to really like open up and for you to
Well, and especially when you
understand.
remember that it's like part Fire Emblem, part Persona, where it's like, oh yeah, the beginning of this game is gonna be slow.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But yeah, I was just blown away. The different by the end, you're doing all these like combos between characters that are like J-pop songs that are all really catchy. The music is great. The characters are tons of fun. I just really loved this game, and I think there is something about it being like this is never it seems unlikely this is ever going to happen again because
Yeah,
this game
totally.
was not a success, I think, in either release on Wii U or on Switch.
I mean, but that's sort of the crazy thing is that like this was a re-release of that Wii U game. Like,
Yeah,
it's just interesting to think that like they were so, I don't know, hard up necessarily for like new Switch releases that they were like everything they could possibly roll over from Wii U they
yeah.
did.
I don't know. I feel like it was almost like a, well, this did bomb on Wii U, but,
Right, but
the
doesn't have
Switch
to
is
bomb
such
here,
a
right.
different audience. Maybe people will take to it this time.
Right.
They did
Which-
not, but
Right, they did not. But I mean, that's the same story with like Pikmin 3 as well, right? Like
Pikmin 3
Deluxe.
sold-
Yeah, it's sold
like
better.
Yeah,
But like it had been on the Wii U, and they were like, well, okay, let's try it again.
for sure,
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, so my pick is Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE Encore. Really, really loved that game. Such a surprise how much I loved that game.
Yeah.
That's why it's really stuck with me.
Do you remember how long it took you to beat that game?
No, I
Did you beat it?
I did beat it.
Yeah.
I would be interested to go back and look. I would guess between 40 and 50 hours.
Yeah.
But it's been so long. It's been 5 years
Right.
since I turned it on. I can't really remember.
I do think that a lot of the reason why I mean, obviously, Animal Crossing was a huge deal for me in 2020. I spent a ton of time on it, and Sarah played it a ton too. And like the fact that we were both on this island together was like really like meaningful and felt very good. But I can only associate Super Mario Brothers 35 with that time period.
Totally.
So it's like it's married to 2020 and early 2021. So that's part of why it's my pick. All right, would you like to move on now to 2015? Finally, a time before the podcast.
Yeah. No, 2015. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes, a time before the podcast.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. We're talking Nintendo 3DS games and we're talking Wii U games.
Yes, we sure are. And like, I don't. This is one of the few we've got. Okay, the Wii U is like its own weird wilderness, right? And but a lot of these other years that we're going to talk about are like the ends of something, right?
Yeah.
But we're not quite at the end of anything yet in 2015. The Switch is still 2 years away. And like, we don't. Were we hearing rumors of DX in 2015? No, or not
Or
DX,
NX.
NX.
Yeah, we knew the code name because for whatever reason for the Switch, we knew the code name for a very long time.
Yeah.
But we didn't know like
We had no.
Yeah.
Like the
the
dual
rumors were
functionality,
not
Yeah.
really hitting at that point for sure.
Right. And mostly what we were doing, we were just like waiting for any news about the new Zelda game, right?
Right, and
Which-
I didn't own a Wii U, and so there's games in 2015 that like have an impact on the Nintendo sphere, but they wouldn't be my pick because I maybe
'Cause you didn't play 'em,
casually
right.
played them a couple of times at your place or something.
Right. Well, and I do think it's like quite fascinating how cool of a year this is, and how much it shapes, like, sort of foretells Nintendo's identity for the decade to follow. Because we're talking about games like Splatoon, Majora's Mask 3D, Fire Emblem Fates, Super Mario Maker, Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. Like, all of those feel like flags planted in the ground that like Nintendo is going to revisit bigger and crazier.
Yeah, they would like
in
pay
the
off
decade
later.
that followed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the flagship for that being Splatoon.
Yes. Oh my gosh, absolutely. And I would even say like Super Mario Maker.
Sure. Yeah.
To a lesser extent, because we definitely haven't seen it explode in the same way that Splatoon has.
Right.
But it feels like a statement of purpose for the Wii U and like for a new
yes.
like way of thinking at Nintendo.
Yeah, and like a little bit more transparency
Yeah.
and just being like here, yeah, like Nintendo is often a like outwardly presentationally nostalgic company, but like they really cranked it up for the release of Super Mario Maker. And it's so interesting to me that like Mario Maker 2 never became like the cultural object that Mario Maker 1 was. They just did such a good job of rolling that thing out and like presenting it as a piece of Nintendo's complete history with Mario.
Yes, I think, and I think was also just the perfect like form and function fit.
Yes.
Like, having that gamepad
yes.
was perfect. And for the Switch, it worked fine. Like
Sure.
the pointer controls and like all that worked fine.
Well,
But
and it wasn't even mostly the pointer controls. They would do this like sort of radial dial thing, and then you were still sort of like placing stuff digitally on the thing with like thumbsticks,
right?
Which, as you say, is fine. Or you could use touch controls if you had it in your lap. But yeah, like nothing really compares to having the gamepad and a stylus to like put it all together. There are very few ways in which like the form factor of the Wii U was perfect. And it was for Super Mario Maker.
It's also funny that because of, it's the 40th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers this year, all of the years we're talking about are like anniversary, like, milestone anniversaries. Also, all of the release dates that I went off of were like the US release dates, because the further you go back, the
messier it gets.
Yeah, I had kind of like forgotten about this, because now everything is so... It launches worldwide in all territories on this day. And you go back 10 years, you especially go back like 20 years, and it was not that way at all.
Nope.
Like, even in the Wii U era, it's like, oh, Yoshi's Woolly World, that's going to come out in October in North America. But the rest of the world got it in June and July.
Right.
Like, it was just very different.
I will say, glazing Nintendo a little bit here in 2015, some pretty devastating lows, right? Mario Party 10, like a notoriously crappy one. Mario Tennis Power Slam, like the worst one. Like,
oh, that's so funny. I have it written down as Ultra Smash.
It might be called,
but
Ultra
I don't know which one it is.
I wrote Power Slam, but I don't know. You're probably right.
But no, you're right. I mean, it's
a terrible game.
It is in the throes of the Wii U.
Yes.
Devil's Third comes out in December. But also on the 3DS, you get the first Box Boy. This is the year that Happy Home Designer comes out. Codename Steam. Shout out to Codename Steam.
Codename Steam
is released in March of that year.
Which, of course, is the sort of SOCOM-like intelligence system strategy game where you play as characters from American mythology / history / Peter Pan, and you're fighting aliens for President Robot Lincoln. It's crazy.
Yeah. I would love to understand the genesis of this game. The genesis of Codename Steam.
Yeah.
Like, why?
How and why?
Yeah.
I don't like to do the like, what were you guys smoking when you get? But I want to know.
Right.
Like,
I just want to know.
This one, like, I need to know.
And I also want to know, like, was this somebody's vision? Like, is Codename Steam fully formed from like or is it the victim of, like, compromises that happen in any project where you're trying to make something?
It's just something like I don't think there's any specific in Codename Steam that someone would have been like, hey, let's compromise. This playable character is Tiger Lily. It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? The main character should be John Henry, and I think we can all agree on that.
But
I have not said the name.
I haven't said mine either.
I wonder if we have the same.
I wonder if we have the same one too. Well, should we say it on 3?
Yes. Backwards from 3.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, and then we say the name of the game.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Zelda Triforce Heroes. Yes. The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes. The multiplayer exclude, like, you needed to play it multiplayer. Series of like dungeon challenges in the Link Between Worlds style is a game that was maligned but ruled.
Yeah, well, and I didn't play it until we played it with friend of the show and frequent guest Matt Acevedo.
Yep.
He came over one day and the three of us played it, and I had so much fun. I completely understand if you were trying to play this online with like randoms and you couldn't talk and you couldn't communicate, that this game would be infuriating and not fun at all. But with a group...
Here's the thing, it wasn't actually that bad.
Really? I never tried it.
Because like the player base was small enough that people weren't really like griefing each other or anything. And like it's not so dense that you can't intuit what the other two players are leaving for you to do. And like everyone was basically pretty good at doing it. And there are these really fun little emotes on the bottom of the screen that you can tap. And the more you tap them, the bigger the emote becomes.
That's a fun way to do it.
And so like it was just a very like fun, intuitive, like sticky way to present these sort of like Zelda challenges.
Yeah, because they are like dungeons that you go through and they're timed, and then you then you can do it like multiple times, and then challenges get more harder.
Yeah,
And
or like you can set like different win parameters and stuff like that. And like at the beginning of every dungeon, everyone grabs a power up, and that's your power up for the thing. Sometimes they're all the same. Sometimes like one person has to be like the fireball guy, and the other two have to do like hook shots. And so it creates such interesting dynamics between the three players. But like you truly need to have three players all engaged,
and
for
it's
it to
the
be
perfect
anything.
amount of like kind of like chaotic multiplayer where you're
Yes.
kind of like yelling at each other to be like, no, you have to pick me up and throw me.
Throw me
No,
over here.
Yeah.
We need to. All of us. We need to be three tall. I want to be on top. Matt, pick me up. No. Mark, now pick Matt up.
I had so much fun. I had so much fun with that game. It's kind of a shame that I don't know that maybe in the future, never say never. Maybe in the future there will be a like 3DS Nintendo Classics or something like that.
Sure.
And they'll re-release it with online multiplayer and game chat and all that kind of stuff, which will make it easier to facilitate matches.
Four
But
Swords is back, right? Like that's on the GBA NSO thing. So like, yeah, I think absolutely never say never. But yeah, it always felt to me like that game would have been so good on Switch. Because like people were actually using their Switches online. There was a huge audience for it. And you know, now with Switch 2 and you've got game chat,
I know
it would be
in game share potentially.
I mean, this is it. Why isn't Triforce Heroes on Switch?
I hope
2?
it is. Maybe that'll be next year's Zelda thing. Is they're like, we're bringing back
There we go.
Triforce Heroes, we're bringing back Hytopia. We've doubled the number of costumes that are available.
Woo!
Yeah,
No, you like this more than a Zelda 2 remake?
I also want to shout out. There was a game on here that I wanted to mention, and now I'm blanking on.
We've mentioned
what
most
it
of the
was.
first party games, so
Yeah. Oh, Yokai Watch. I just want to shout out Yokai Watch because there was a brief period where
Nintendo,
Yokai Watch
yes.
was, like it gunning to be the next Pokemon. It had an anime series that was on like Disney XD, and it was it sold really well in Japan. And then it got a couple of sequels. Then eventually Yokai Watch just kind of fizzled out. But there was a while where Yokai Watch was Nintendo was treating it like a big thing.
Yeah, I mean they were definitely like positioning it, but yeah, it just didn't work in the West, I guess. Mostly because we don't know what a yokai is.
I don't know what. Yeah,
we don't get it. Some kind of malevolent mullet. Oh boy, a spirit of some kind.
Yeah.
Be it bad or be it good. I'm not really sure. Okay, so we are in agreement. 2015. The game of 2015 is, of course, The Legend of Zelda: Triforce Heroes. Shall we go back in time now? A further 10 years to 2005.
Now, this one is so interesting because you have both the end of the GBA,
yes,
the beginning of the Nintendo DS, which had released, in like 2004.
Yep.
And then you also
but we're pre Switch Lite or
DS we are
Lite.
DS Lite. Yeah. Pre DS Lite. And then you got the GameCube in the mix too.
Right. We're sort of in late days for the GameCube though, right? It's getting like a little long in the tooth.
Yeah, that's right. And the Switch isn't that far away.
The Wii is not that far away.
Yep.
Sorry.
Words.
We're gonna help each other out. Yes, the placement of the DS launch the year prior to this is so interesting to me because like it would become this like radical thing that like shapes the gaming. I mean, right? Like it beats mobile gaming to the punch, and like is also a precursor of the Nintendo strategy with the Wii. This whole like blue sky, everyone can play games thing, but it's not that popular yet.
Yeah, not yet the phenomenon it was going to be, but the seeds are there for it to become something like that.
Yes.
This is a year that I found incredibly difficult to pick a game because I think there are so many bangers. There's so many games that I love that came out
Yes.
this year.
Um, it's true, and like a lot of them on the GameCube. There's an Animal Crossing game, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, Star Fox Assault, all like pretty good entries in like mainline Nintendo series. For whatever reason, they all feel like they are just pretty good entries. You know what I mean?
Yeah, GameCube syndrome.
Yes, exactly. Where
Yeah.
it's like, hey, this is pretty good, but not like no one's favorite. I don't think.
It had some like interesting entries as well. Like Donkey Kong Jungle Beat
Sure.
came out in 2005. Killer 7, the Suda51 game that from Capcom came out in 2005. Shadow the Hedgehog came out in 2005.
Sure.
Prince of Persia: The Two Thrones, the sequel to like the rebooted Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. Great game.
I mean, there's a GameCube game that we've not mentioned yet, and
I know.
I wonder if it's because it's your pick.
Well, here's where I'm really torn.
Because there's also a DS game that we've not mentioned that is my pick.
Is it Animal Crossing Wild World?
No.
Oh, okay. Animal Crossing Wild World
Yes.
came out in 2005, and this was the first Animal Crossing game I had ever played.
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
it was available. It was like on DS. It made it so easy to like play every day, check in on your village, and then it also included the first time that you could go to other people's towns.
Yes.
And Wild World was like a bolt of lightning for me. It really made me love Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
And I really loved the presentation. I remember being so disappointed in City Folk, the Wii entry.
Yes.
Because the world just, even though it was like, yeah, that makes sense. That is what this would look like on Wii. I don't know. There's something about like the kind of like low res look of the DS that I found charming, and maybe it was because it leaves so much to your imagination
Sure.
or something. But anyways, I really loved Wild World. Also want to shout out Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow
Mhm.
came out. Nintendogs was released
Oh,
in
dude, was it?
2005.
Oh.
Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. The game originated on the GBA, but it didn't release outside of Japan until the DS, and this is when I fell in love with Phoenix Wright. Trauma Center: Under the Knife. This is a Atlas series that I guess I understand why it went away after the Wii, but it is a game that I would love for them to reboot someday.
Yeah, but I mean, like these. For me, the undeniable behemoth of the DS in 2005 is Mario Kart.
I know, Mario Kart DS.
It is. I mean, it changed my. I don't know because I didn't get a DS until DS Lite, so I was playing it the next year. But like, it is such a good entry in the Mario Kart franchise. And by nature of it being the DS, it's the first time that you could play online.
Yes, Nintendo Wi-Fi connection.
Crazy stuff, and that you could do like local wireless multiplayer. The fact that you could share the game with people who didn't have the game and they would have to play as Shy Guys, but otherwise the game was all there, like through download play, was just like remarkable stuff. And we're getting these like fully 3D levels and characters. It was the kind of thing where it's like I sort of couldn't believe that was a game I was playing on a handheld.
I know, and it introduced some fun new like battle modes.
Oh yes,
like
like the coin.
and
yeah.
like the shine.
Oh yeah, that's
capture
what it was.
one.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Like
and one of the levels you're playing on a DS.
it was such a good game.
Yeah,
great pick. A completely
yes.
like worthy entry as a pick. This is the reason it was so hard is I did end up going with Resident Evil 4.
I mean and that's if
on the GameCube.
One of us had to, right? And like it was just such a moment of like no, Capcom has not abandoned Nintendo in their moment of GameCube. In fact, they're going to make all these lofty promises. Only one really lands, and then it goes multi-platform like a year or two later. But like Resident Evil 4 was a statement of purpose. a brand new mode for Resident Evil and like changes survival horror forever.
Yeah, one of the best games ever, I would say. Like
Totally,
in the
yes.
pantheon of great games. Released in January of all months. But
Sure.
I mean, yeah, it's the GameCube. Who cares?
Hey, the next Resident Evil is coming out in like February,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
that's true.
That's what they do. They do beginning of the year.
But yeah, so I did settle on Resident Evil 4, but it's hard. Like Mario Kart DS, amazing game. Animal Crossing Wild World, great game. You know,
Yes.
like also, I just want to mention some of the GBA games because again, this was end of GBA
Sure,
Live, so there
right.
were so many licensed games. But there was also Yoshi Topsy Turvy, Banjo Pilot, a Banjo Kazooie
Sure.
like racing game. DK King of Swing released that year.
Bad
Donkey
game.
Kong
Bad
Country
game.
3
Uh-huh.
released. Final Fantasy 4 Advance released.
This is also the year that the Game Boy Micro came out.
Whoa.
So Game Boy Micro, for those who don't, because they did not keep it on the market for very long.
I never owned one.
Neither did I. It was a very small Game Boy Advance.
Tiny. Like my memory is not that much bigger than the cartridge itself. Maybe
Oh
like-
yeah, no, the GBA cartridges would stick out the top. And it was so little, and it had a classic Famicom color scheme that's sort of like maroon and gold. And like a nice backlit screen, fixing some of the problems of the normal GBA, but ultimately being like way too small to comfortably play. But what a cool looking piece of kit.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was just looking up when the PlayStation Portable released in 2005. And it's just so funny because all the discussion around this time was that the PSP was going to eat Nintendo's lunch, that the DS did not stand a chance.
Yes.
Just
And then the
funny in
DS goes out to
hindsight.
be one of the best selling pieces of hardware like ever.
Yeah.
But I mean, the PSP was no slouch.
No.
Largely because it was eminently hackable, and like it ended up being like everyone's like emulation machine. And that happened like really, really fast. But yeah, just a crazy time in handhelds. But I think you and I have made the right choices here in Mario Kart DS and Resident Evil 4.
I'm glad
Sorta
I'm glad
undeniable.
we were able to cover both those bases.
Yeah, the thing with Resident Evil 4, and both these games have been basically superseded by later versions of themselves, right? The Resident Evil 4 remake replaces Resident Evil 4, and every subsequent Mario Kart replaces Mario Kart DS.
Yeah, I would even say that the Wii version of Resident Evil 4
Sure.
was a better way to play it. Like using
the PlayStation 2 version was a better way to play it, like
the pointer controls
Yes.
on the Wii version were a lot of fun.
But yeah, they both of those games feel like they're so of that moment. Are you ready to move now even further back in time to our 30 years ago, 1995?
Yes.
Another like tough year at the sort of end of something.
That's right, because we're 1 year away from the Nintendo 64 launching.
Mm-hmm.
The Game Boy Pokemon has not hit yet.
Right.
And so the Game Boy is kind of in like a death throes that would then get reversed.
Yeah, it is crazy to consider like the trajectory of the Game Boy, because at this point it is 6 years old.
Yeah.
It is a geriatric platform, which is still like chugging away, I guess. But like, yeah, pre-Pokemon, it's not really anything. It's sort of like a non-concern for Nintendo. They had released the Super Game Boy the year before, along with Donkey Kong 94, that like would allow you to play Game Boy games on the Super NES. But that was mostly like, all sizzle no steak. That there like wasn't anything real of substance to support that as like something you would actually want to play going forward.
Do you know what I was kind of surprised looking at the list of Game Boy games and sorting by year is that it's not as like flooded with titles as I would have expected.
Yeah, sure.
And maybe like post Pokemon that happens, but up until that point it's not like there's an overwhelming amount of stuff
Right.
on the Game Boy.
Yeah, I mean, at this, it is actually like kind of bizarre that Game Freak and the Pokemon Company were like, "Yep, we've got this thing. It's going to go out on this like Stone Age hardware, and it like worked
Yeah.
is sort of miraculous. And part of that is just that they were like able to match the fact that like there were Game Boys everywhere, right? So it's just
Yeah.
like
It would keep going for another 6 years.
yeah, crazy stuff. But also not what we're talking about
Right,
in 1995, because it didn't exist yet.
Well, and of course, the Virtual Boy.
We got to talk about it. It would be insincere to list any of the Virtual Boy games as like my game of 1995. And also, we've talked a lot about the Virtual Boy so far this year. Again, it's anniversaries, right? But yeah, this would be the year of Wario Land and Mario Clash and Galactic Pinball and Telero Boxer, and a lot of our favorite Virtual Boy games to talk about, even if they're not that much fun to play.
Yep. So some notable games that I have, mostly the ones I've highlighted are maybe exclusively the ones I want to shout out, are from the Super Nintendo.
Yes.
Late in life for the Super Nintendo, but Kirby's Dream Course comes out this year.
Yep. Cool game.
Porky Pig's Haunted Holiday.
Okay.
Maybe only notable to, the few the proud that owned this game. I don't know. I think this was a like garage sale pickup from my parents.
You played
I played
Holiday?
yes, I played
cool.
I played quite a bit of Porky Pig's Haunted Holiday. Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, and Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest, both released in 1995.
As does Donkey Kong Land on Game Boy. So like this is a little bit they're cashing in on the success of Donkey Kong Country from the previous year, which is kind of cool. It's interesting that there is this short period of a couple years where they're like Nintendo's all in on Donkey Kong Country / Land.
There was also a Toy Story game that, again, only notable because I owned it.
Right.
Yeah.
To the extent that makes it notable.
Notable
yes.
to me.
But I think, and the sort of category that we're avoiding right now is Super NES RPGs. Because two absolute stone cold classic RPGs hit the Super NES in 1995.
And also a personal favorite for you. Like, there are 3 RPGs.
Oh, that's true. Right, yes.
Because Secret of Evermore
also comes out in 1995. Yes, Evermore, the sort of US-based or created semi-spiritual sequel to the Seiken Densetsu series, the Secret of Mana series, where you play as a sci-fi movie-obsessed child who gets sucked into the worlds created by like super geniuses in their brains. It's an absolutely wild game where you are moving through these different areas that it's like time travel, but it's just one girl is obsessed with like dinosaur times, another person is obsessed with like ancient Egypt, and so like you're there with your dog, and your dog transforms from like a feral beast to like an Egyptian like greyhound, and so on. A great game that's not very good, but a game that I love. But it is not my pick because of the other two are so undeniable.
We're talking, of course, about Earthbound and Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
Both released in 1995.
Two of maybe like categorically like best in class Japanese RPGs of the 16-bit era.
Yeah, this would have been, I think, easier for me a couple of years ago before we played Earthbound for the Patreon NCS Arcade, because I had never gotten that far in Earthbound before. I'd never beaten it for sure before we played it. And so it definitely, like, I have such a different appreciation for that game than I would have like just a couple of years ago.
I do want to talk a little bit about like the different space these two games occupied in 1995, because Earthbound is the Mother series. There had been a previous Mother game released in Japan, but that was never, or to that point had not been released anywhere else. And like Nintendo in general, or NOA, did not really know how to market this thing, but they tried so hard and so many weird things to try and sell this game. They were really leaning into the sort of like gross out factor, and like the game came in a large box because it included a player's guide, like a book to like help walk you through the game, and there were like scratch and sniff cards, and they like basically did everything to sort of like present this as like a cool prestige package. Um, and like, the game would eventually have a vocal fan base and people would recognize it. But like, I don't in 1995, like, was it? It doesn't feel like it landed.
No, I mean it definitely didn't sell very well.
Right.
I do wonder what the experience of playing this as a kid would be like. Because I feel like, and maybe it is because I played it as an adult, viewing it through those eyes. It feels like such a adult kind of like knowing, wink, 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 um, like remembrance of what childhood was like,
Yeah.
less than a authentic, like relatable childhood experience. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I would have like seen myself in it, or like
Yeah, it's tough to
as a
say
kid.
because it is also like in a lot of ways feels like a like Japanese representation of what like life in America was like. And you would have as a child living in America at the time, you would have or I don't know how would you have felt about it? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. That's what. Yeah.
yeah, like where you'd be like, well, this is like kinda right, but also like very wrong in some ways.
But I don't know that I would have been able to like recognize that it was a Japanese,
right.
like developer's idea of what
Right, but I'm saying that there are these like multiple levels of like
100%.
abstraction and like sort of conceptualization of the thing that we're able to reflect on now as adults in the year 2025 that like we would have been physically incapable of understanding
Right.
as children in 1995. Compare that to Chrono Trigger, which is the
It's like Japanese RPG development dream team.
yeah, that's
You
right.
know, all the heavy hitters that had worked basically, on a if you like JRPGs, then this is just like grand slam.
Yeah, it was a sure thing.
Uh-huh.
And like I feel like this is right around the time where like Dragon Ball Z is hitting on like Adult Swim, and like just that little bit of like Akira Toriyama is being like fed to us as children at that time directly. And like before that, like there was not that much penetration of anime in the West, right? And so like that was sort of it. That was like uh the platonic ideal of that look and that style. And all the characters in Chrono Trigger are designed by Toriyama. And like it's just so easy at that time to track Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VI, which we knew as 2 and 3, and Secret of Mana as this like there was this very linear thing, and these games just got like better and more impressive, and were just like awesome, awesome, awesome. The best stories being told on the Super NES, and then here comes this one that also looks incredible, sounds amazing, and like it just like it arrived to collect its crown, and we all kneeled down and gave it its crown.
Well, and I think it's another one that the more that I revisit it and like reflect on it, the more I appreciate it. And because I think it also has, like really it's a great game to play, and then I also think it has interesting like things to say about forgiveness and like what
Yeah.
it means to be alive and how you spend your time on the earth, like it's just I think Earthbound is the same way, where it's like a multi-layered thing that every time you return to it you can appreciate it a little bit more or a little bit different, because I think how you relate to it probably changes as you age, as you have more experiences.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Oh, and like both games like sort of feature, especially if you compare them to like the other Final Fantasy games, like kind of small casts, right? And are like invested in the like people at the heart of those games. And Earthbound in some ways is about you, the player, which is another sort of like tricky
Yeah, it's
thing
very
that game
meta.
accomplishes. It's very good. Earthbound is quite good. But yeah, Chrono Trigger, it's like 7 characters that you're invested in. And one of them is like a caveman lady, where you're like, okay, I don't, but like Frog and Chrono and Luca and Marley and Robo, and yeah, I mean they're all like they're so well designed and they're so well sketched that their like emotional journeys are just very meaningful. throughout the course of Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is my pick for this year.
It's my pick too. It is the one that I.
But it's so
I
hard.
I know. But I think a worthy pick. But either one, I don't think you could go wrong with.
Yeah. It's also so interesting to consider like how like long the shadows are that are cast by those games. Where like one of like the biggest indie games of the last decade is Undertale, and that is basically like Toby Fox trying to do Earthbound again, right? And then similarly, that Sea of Stars, another huge indie game from the last couple of years, is basically just trying to do Chrono Trigger again. And that like those are journeys that players now want to go on again and again. And like that depth of characterization and achieving something so like you got to think that something like Celeste can only tell the story that it tells within that very simple presentation that is as like complicated and nuanced and sensitive as it is, that without games like these two proving that you can go that deep with the presentation so simple, that like that allows that to happen,
I also think it's interesting that with Chrono Trigger it felt like part of the reason why they eventually made Chrono Cross, but part of the reason why Chrono Trigger, and I think a sequel to Chrono Trigger would be foolhardy, is just because it was the alchemy of very specific people at a very specific time in all of their careers that made that game possible. Whereas something, I haven't played it myself, but I understand that Mother 3, is also like a very good. And I think it's because the Mother series is so much driven by one person, driven by like Shigesato Itoi,
right?
That it's like, I can understand why you could make another like Earthbound like game, like another Mother game, and have it be incredible. Where Chrono Trigger just feels like, we don't need to try to recreate Chrono Trigger because I don't think it's possible.
Yeah. Well, and like it is interesting that like, Mother 3 had a place to go eventually. That was the Game Boy Advance. They were developing it for Nintendo 64, which like probably would have sold it short, right? Like that there would have been low poly models and it would not have like retained the charm.
Look so ugly.
It would look so ugly, and if you want like evidence of like, let's go to Chrono Cross, right? Like, that game is sometimes very pretty, but like it's pre-rendered backgrounds and low poly models for the characters, and it suffers from like really bad loading times and just sort of like workarounds for that kind of stuff. And it was just like the hardware was there to support the vision of Mother 3. The hardware was not there to support the vision of Chrono Cross. And that's it. That's they're both dead ends after that. But like, do they have to be? Could there be a new Chrono game? Could there be a new Mother game?
I don't know why you would try. Mother, I don't think you do it without Itoi.
Sure.
Like, what would be the point?
Yeah.
And then Chrono Trigger, why try? You can't get that band back together. If you are going to get like a JRPG like all-star team together, they should do something different that they feel passionate about, instead of like making a sequel to one of the best games of all time.
Right. But, one of the best games of all time, we should have a sequel. All right. And then we're not actually doing 40 years. But if we did, it would be 1985. It would just be the year that the NES came to the States, sort of.
Right. Right. When it had its like first launch in New York City.
Right.
At the end of 1985. And yeah, I mean, you can pick from Super Mario Brothers or Stack Up. So take your pick.
Yeah, so I think you got to go with Super Mario Brothers.
I think you got to.
All right, but still fun to look at 1985. What a long time ago. All right, Mark. That's. Do you have anything any like observations from our time tripping back in time here?
The only thing that really stood out to me as I was compiling this is that sometimes when you're in a year of games, you're like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like there's anything to play, or this was not one of Nintendo's stronger years. But then give it 5 years, then you look back on it, and it's remarkable how robust even some of their like quote unquote weaker years.
Sure, like 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder, like, at what point will we look back on 2024, right, and be like, oh, you know what? There was they put out 11 games that year,
Uh-huh.
which is true. They put out 11 games in 2024.
Yeah. Crazy.
And one of them,
it definitely didn't feel like it at the time.
well, no, it definitely did not. Although I was buying every single one. One of those games was also Emio the Smiling Man.
Yeah,
Famicom
that's
Detective
right.
Club.
That's right.
So that'll always be like a top 3 Nintendo year for us, I think. Yeah, but you are right that looking at a year with the remove of history makes it so they all seem like kind of interesting years. Mark, what's gonna come out 5 years from now?
Do you think?
And then we'll do 10, 20, and 30.
yeah. And 40, but it won't count.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, 5 years from now, I think we. Oh man, I don't even know. It's
hard to even think of
imagine.
time existing in 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, you have to assume that we're still playing Switch 2.
Yep, for sure.
There's probably been another Zelda,
right?
Although maybe at that point, the new Zelda will be popping, whatever that is.
Yeah, 5 years from now,
like a new one.
Yeah.
The successor to Tears of the Kingdom.
I hope it doesn't take that long.
Wait that long.
I hope we don't have to wait that long.
Yeah,
but we might.
We might. Who knows? They got to like reinvent that thing again. All right, Mark. Let's get out of this segment. Okay, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. What are your favorite games of those years that we mentioned 5, 10, 20, and 30 years ago? Write into us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com, or get in that dang Discord by emailing us at that same email address. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much to our 16-bit patrons, Connor McKay, Patrice Millette, Kyle Seaborn, Drew Mackey. We appreciate you and everyone who's over there on the Patreon, or everyone who is listening to this show, or anyone who's hanging out in the Discord, or anyone who's interacting with us in any way. See us on the street, say hello. We thank you for that. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.